Hey, you're trying to build some big, burly-ass, three-dimensional boulders for shoulders that'll help you fill up and stretch out your muscle T, then I got your poison today. Today's Flex Friday routine is all about your delts. Let's get started. What's up guys, Coach MANdler here, Team Swole Patrol. As I mentioned earlier, today's Flex Friday is going to be 100% about what you need to do inside the gym to build some big, burly ass, powerful, three-dimensional boulders for shoulders. Alright, big, balanced, just looking like big ass cannonballs laying right next to Trapezius Mountain. Alright, so before we get into the actual routine, I want to talk a little bit about the shoulder joint itself, because understanding the shoulder joint and the movements that it's responsible for and the muscles that are responsible for that movement are going to give us a good idea into how to build that more balanced, symmetrical look that we are going for. Okay, here's what we know about the shoulder joint itself. Unlike the hip joint, it is a far more shallow ball and socket joint that, because of its shallowness, has a lack of stability but a far greater degree of mobility. So unlike the hip, which has a lot of stability and is a very deep and strong and stable ball and socket joint, the shoulder is far more shallow, and because of that has far greater mobility. So we have far more different movement patterns that we can put it through. And what we know about the muscles responsible for those movement patterns is this. Our deltoids have three heads. We have our anterior, we have our middle, and we have our posterior. The anterior head, or the front delt, as most meatheads know it as, is going to be responsible for flexion of the humerus right here, as well as play a secondary role in any horizontal press or overhead press. Okay, so the reason that it's going to be responsible for not just your overhead press but also all bench pressing, flat or incline, is its proximity to the lateral fibers of the pec major. So it's not only going to be for front raises, it's also got a large supporting role in the bench press, incline press, as well as overhead press. The acromial fibers, which lay over the acromion process of the scapula, are going to be what make up the middle delt. You might know it as the side delt or lateral delt. And this head of the deltoid is going to be responsible for all abduction of the humerus. So a simple movement pattern or a simple exercise that you can use to hit this head is obviously, with that movement pattern, going to be a side delt raise. And the last head of the deltoids that we're going to talk about is the posterior head. Your posterior head of the delt has an insertion at the lower posterior lip of your scapula. The primary movement that it's responsible for is extension of your humerus, which, by the way, is the lowest amount of range of motion of any of the movement patterns that your delts are responsible for. And it's also got a supporting role in retraction of your humerus because of its insertion at the scapula. So hopefully that helps clear up the anatomy and the movement patterns that they're responsible for, as well as different exercises you can plug in to address each. Now let's put that into motion in a kick-ass Flex Friday routine that will give you a sick-ass pump and deliver some big, nasty-ass gains in size, strength, explosiveness, and muscularity. Alright, so I know this routine is all about building more shoulder mass, but we're actually going to start off with an upper back movement for two big reasons. These band Scarecrows are going to help better activate your upper back, which is going to be clutch for stabilizing the weight in the core movement. That's going to offer us the most mass gains that we can get, and it's also going to help open up that chest and improve the thoracic extension that we need while doing the overhead movement that we're going to be using in our core lift. So two-headed monster there, great little priming exercise. And speaking of another priming exercise that we can do to improve the amount of
motor units we're recruiting, and just overall how we're moving faster and more explosively with every contraction is going to be those plyometric push-ups. Great way to get the anterior delts as well as the triceps, which are clutch for all overhead movements, firing and getting to work faster and more explosively and more efficiently. So the core movement we're going to be doing here is essentially an overhead matrix that we're going to be doing, starting with the strict press, which is going to be your best way to build overall mass. Just focus on muscling that weight up, and then going right into doing a push press. The way I see it, overhead movements are the best way to build as much mass in your anterior delts as you possibly can. And the way I see it, number 1 is going to be the strict press, 2 is going to be the push press, and 3 is going to be the jerk. So stick with those 3 movements, constantly vary the different weights and rep ranges that you're using, and ultimately that is what's going to get you all of that size, mass gains, and overall bulk in the anterior delts that you're going for. Now, after we do those bulking sets, we move on to what I call the sculpting sets, okay? And instead of just focusing on single joint isolation-based movements, I like kind of combining and kind of doing a multi-joint superset with a single joint. So compound superset with isolation. And this is a great exercise. I like doing these contralateral kneeling Arnold presses because you're getting a little bit of core work in there too. It's going to get your obliques firing and your abs firing, as well as building more of that size and overall mass that you're going for in your anterior delts. And when you combine that with a superset of kind of a raise matrix where we're doing anterior delt raise followed by the lateral raise followed by the rear delt raise with these bands, it is going to give you a sick pump and overall just give you more of that shape that you're going for. Okay, whenever we're doing any work with our delts, we need to focus on hitting them through a complete range of motion. And with all of the range of motion that we have, like I said, with our delts, we need to make sure we cover each head. So just focus on not only hitting those multi-joint bulking movements like you would with the overhead press, but also doing these isolation single joint movements too. It's not only going to add more of that shape and musculature that you want, but it's also going to improve overall joint health and increase maximal strength in your bench press and overhead press as well. And to finish off the day and absolutely destroy your anterior delts with more time under tension, just a great little way to kind of finish off and just burn out your delts, is going to be a push-up matrix. We're going to start this with one of my all-time favorite push-up variations, the Divebomber Push Up. I remember I got introduced to this in high school when I used to do the Navy SEAL workout, which was on VHS, old school, but great movement here. And after 10 reps of that, we're going to go into a completely different push-up variation, which is a close grip tricep diamond type push-up, great for building anterior delt size, and also going to build a lot of tricep strength too. All right, great for increasing bench and overhead press. And then move into a regular push-up, 10 reps there, and then finish off with the wide grip push-up. At this point, your anterior delts are going to be pretty gassed and pumped up and swole, but remember, that has to be a strong consideration when programming for size and muscularity in the delts. It's all about intensity and all of those movement patterns it's responsible for.
Hopefully that quick meathead anatomy lesson and the bulk and sculpt principle cleared some things up on what you need to do inside the gym to build those big ass 3-dimensional boulders for shoulders that allow you to look good while being able to kick ass. If in fact you are the type that cares about not just how you look but how you perform, and you want to avoid that god-awful look like Tarzan, swing like Jane syndrome that is crushing the man quotient of mankind right now, then please do yourself a favor, pick up a free copy of the muscle building blueprint that I put together for you by clicking on this button right here. If you're on a device don't worry, simply go down to the description area of this video right now and click on the first link that you see. When you do that, I'll take you to the next page, which breaks down everything you're going to be getting with this heavy-hitting, kick-ass free gift that I put together from an allotment of different tips from professional bodybuilders, powerlifters, strongman competitors, and Olympic lifters that will show you proven methods to help bust through bullshit plateaus and allow you to get right to the good stuff, which is simply, for guys like you and me, trading sweat equity for kick-ass gains. That's all you can really ask for, right? And these proven techniques are going to be the blueprint for what you got to do in order to get those gains in ripped, powerful, explosive muscle mass. So if that sounds good to you, if you want to be someone that not only looks good but can kick ass too, then please pick up this free gift, because I can guarantee you once you do, it will immediately clear things up and give you more ideas about what you need to do inside the gym on a daily basis to get the kick-ass gains that you're going for. Appreciate your time, guys. Have a good one. MANdler.